Torq locker, front locker for the Honda Talon. Pretty excited. We're gonna put this in, see how it does. Pretty excited about it. Wanted one for a long time. Obviously some people made some promises and thought that they could make some, and nobody's ever come up with one. As soon as Torq Master's come out with this, I pre-ordered it. Been waiting a while for it, so finally got here. Really don't want to put it in right now because we're getting ready for UTV takeover, and if I find something else wrong, then I'm not going to have time to order parts and get them and put them in. But I guess I'm going to go ahead and put it in, so I can't wait no more. So it's really simple. It basically just locks the axle cups together, you know, with this cross pin. So super excited. Parts all look nice. Everything feels good. Everything looks good. So I have mentioned about my dislike for GoPros, and this is going to be the first video testing out the new big boy video camera. So let's I'm gonna pull this front diff. I'm not gonna make this a complete step-by-step, because if you can't pull the front diff, then you probably don't need to be putting this in. No offense to anybody. So we're gonna get into it and see what it does. I am not sponsored by anyone in any way. I actually asked Torq Master if I could be one of the first ones to have one of these. That way I would have time to install it and make a video. But obviously I did not get one before anyone else, so whatever. But anything that I review or give an opinion about is strictly my opinion. I receive nothing from anybody as far as a discount or anything of that nature. So this will be my honest opinion. The only thing that's different about my machine that will affect this is I have the Hess four-wheel drive bypass. I put that on after got the turbo. I've kind of steered away from mud and water since. The only thing that I dislike about the four-wheel drive bypass is when you're giving it to sauce up a hill, you got it on, it transfers power from one wheel to the other, and it makes it hard to steer. Obviously if you have a locker that we're going to put in, that should eliminate that. So I'm really excited to see what this does. I know I said I wasn't going to put anything in the video about pulling the front diff, but this is going to be strictly my opinion and what is the easiest way if you've never done this. First off, I want to start by saying I'm holding the camera in this hand and the light in the other, so I'm trying to get the best quality I can here for you guys so you can see. But first off, I think the Honda Talon is pretty far behind in some of this stuff. Here's the Razor, the No Fucks 900. It took a hit and got some frame damage. Actually working on it now. It's put together pretty good, but pulling the front diff on one of these, it is a simple, easy, fast process. You can multiply that by about 3 for the Talon. Hopefully won't take it out that often. Obviously I didn't have to take it out. It didn't break, so this is an upgrade. In my opinion, the easiest way is to leave the dry shaft connected, pull the 3 bolts that hold the clutch on the front diff, and separate it there. The circlip on the dry shaft, it's a joke. 2 ways you can do it. You can separate it like I did, and that is to leave the clutch on the dry shaft and leave that in, pull the 3 bolts and pull the front diff out the front. It pretty much has to go out the front. It kind of sucks. Like I said on the Razor, how you just turn it sideways and pull it out either side, and there's plenty of room. Anyway, the front bumper, had to take my arms off the hood, the winch, so that adds a lot. So whatever, you know, it is what it is. But if you guys are going to pull the complete differential with the clutch on it, I can get to my circlip on the dry shaft through the bottom. If I take my skid plate off, there's a hole. It is a pain. I'm pretty sure they make a tool for that, but this is what I have come up with. So what I've done, I took this pair of needle nose pliers and I ground the ends flat on the sides. As you can see, nothing fancy. And then I cut some grooves in it on the end. That helps so much. It was a real pain to get it apart. If you do something like this, it will really help the process of getting the dry shaft in and out. Up to you, you know, obviously. But that's my opinion. If you're going to take the dry shaft off, get you some pliers like that and modify them a little bit. If not, pull the 3 bolts off and leave the clutch on the dry shaft. Super easy. So, as far as I'm concerned, the Honda Talon pulling the front diff is a hideous job compared to the Razor. But it's doable, no big deal. So, it takes me about twice as long to do something like this and film it. If I don't film it, it's about half the time. So it's a lot of work. So I'd appreciate it. You guys go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like and follow, share. Really appreciate it. So once you get your differential out, take the bolts out of it. Pretty simple and straightforward. Split the case. It's not a big deal either. One thing you might keep in mind, anytime you take something apart like this, let's check out the bearings. Make sure all the bearings are good. You'll be able to feel it if they're bad. They'll be noisy. Make sure you check all your gears. Make sure there ain't no pieces missing, blah blah, whatever. I mean, you know, common sense stuff. Been cool if that had an O-ring, but it doesn't, so you'll need some sealant for that. Typical Honda Talon, my axle seals were leaking, so I already had some of them on order. I knew this was coming. I was going to replace mine. I'd recommend it anytime you break an axle. I would recommend changing those. Anytime you're doing something like this, just put them in. It's not a big deal. So once you split your cases, this is what you're going to have. So keep in mind you have your thrust washers here. Don't lose those, and make sure you put them back. So once you pull your bolts out for your ring gear, and you split that, I like to mark mine where it was. So that's how I do that. And this is basically the old. These are the Chicklets that they talk about in the instructions. I don't need those anymore. From here on out, I mean, you can pretty much just follow the instructions. This is what it's going to look like when you get it taken apart. So if you don't like the looks of this, you may not want to install this yourself. I don't think it's a super big deal. Getting it out's the worst part. This part's really simple. Basically got the 2 springs in here. Line them up and go in the holes. And this one, right in the cross pin. That goes on the other side, makes together. Really simple, and I mean, I really like how it goes together. It looks really nice. Rebuilt quite a few Razor differentials. This is completely different. I was kind of curious to see, you know, how similar they were, and there's nothing in comparison. Don't see too many Talon differentials break. They do break, but not like a Razor. It's like every trip for us, somebody's rebuilding the front diff. So once you get your assembly put together, I did mine a little bit different. I like to slide that pin out, the cross pin, and move the case and make sure that the springs are in the pocket like they are supposed to be. Just to double check. I wouldn't want to be in the middle of this project and have an issue like that. But one thing that I would note is this has to go in one direction. There is a difference. These are chamfered and set back a little bit, and on this side they're flush. And what you'll notice is if you put this in upside down, the cases, they won't line up. There'll be about a 1/16 of an inch gap. So be mindful of that, and you know, just take your time when you go to put it together. And if you put it in upside down, then just I mean, all you got to do is just turn it around. So just keep that in mind. If you got a gap when you're trying to put it back together, then you got this assembly upside down. A little bit of spring pressure from those 2 springs that are inside, but once you get it together correctly, this is how it looks. That's that little bit of spring pressure, but you won't be able to close it up all the way around. It'll be pretty obvious, so keep that in mind. If yours doesn't fit back together, you probably got it upside down. Nope, got the front diff all back together. Everything's good, looks good, feels good. I'm going to show you guys, drive it around, put this thing together, go drive around a little bit, see how it does. Alright, so I'm sure the wind noise is going to be ridiculous. I do not run a windshield so I can film. I'm going to play around here a little bit. Okay guys, so the only thing I'm using is the override in automatic mode, not sport mode, and in high. So it pulls hard. Anytime we go riding, it doesn't matter where we go or who we go with, someone has to drag race. So we don't take it super seriously, but there's always at least 2 of us that have to line up to drag race. So it's just kind of whatever. I don't really notice that much difference in the turning radius. Sorry for the overexposure here. My brand new camera, and I can't hardly film and drive at the same time. Do it again here. It pulls hard. That made a huge difference. Well, I'm not gonna put up some old videos and say I went crawling and tested out the locker, because I didn't. I don't say things like that. Pretty smooth install. No problems. Everything went just about like I expected. Seems like pretty nice parts. I took it for a drive. It definitely pulls harder. The thing I did not like about the Hess bypass is it throws power from one wheel to the other, and it makes it really hard to steer. So that's horrible in my opinion, but with the locker it fixed that problem. I kind of feel like with the Hess bypass it solved one problem, but it created another. With the locker, obviously both front wheels were pulling, so solved that problem. Probably not going to be able to go riding. I got some family stuff I'm going to do tomorrow, so hopefully pretty soon we'll go try it out. And if you guys want to subscribe to the channel, greatly appreciate it, and I'll give my opinion as we go, because I'm not just going to say, oh yeah, it's great, when I mean I really don't know if it's great or not. So I know we're going to UTV takeover pretty soon, planning on it unless something happens. But I already bought tickets, I already got a place to stay, so planning on that. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great video, so stay tuned. Thanks for all the support. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, show some support. Thanks guys, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.